Alright, I'm back. I'm just eating a little bit of lunch here, so I figured I'd jump back out onto the forums and see what is going on. Okay, so gotten quite a bit of replies since this morning. Time intelligence the hard way. I'll give it a try. Alright, cool. So that's one of my time intelligence the hard way. It's one of my quick measures that I have out here in the quick measure gallery. I've got quite a few of them. I've been building up a library of them over time. So just little things that I found, little calculations that have, come up in the forums and everything else. Time intelligence the hard way. It basically is a way to do the time intelligence stuff, but just using filters and things like that. So creating temp tables and getting your max values of different years, and then basically what you're doing is you're preempting the normal filter context and then filtering it down to exactly what you want for whatever you're trying to. So it just kind of shows off the basic technique with that, and you can do all sorts of different things with it. I just have right now just total year to date and total last year to date, and then percent change year over year, just as examples. But you can do, month. You can do some really. I've already seen some odd calculations. Well, I shouldn't say odd. At customers, where they want when they say year to date, they're really meaning something different than what would normally be expected. Um, but everybody's got their own little variations on different things. So I developed this technique in order to kind of handle all of these things that sort of fell outside of the realm of the normal time intelligence measures, if you will, or the functions that are in DAX, which can be a real pain to get working correctly because they're odd sometimes. So anyway, enough about that. Custom column based on several other columns. Oh yeah, and then this. So this was something that came up. So sequential was another one of my quick measures. I replied to. No, he was looking for a previous year or previous week. So essentially, he wanted to be able to say, hey, for this week, I want to be able to go 1 week back or 2 weeks back or 4 weeks back. But he got messed up because when he's the way he was doing it was just get the current week of today, and then subtract the week number of the date um, that was in the table. But when he rolled over to 2019 from 2018, that didn't work anymore because he was getting negative numbers and things like that. But I'd invented this technique quite a while ago, back in the summer of this year of last year, um, where basically I kind of did the same thing where you know you could figure out and do a sequential week from um, so that all of your weeks basically lined up. So when you had a year of this and a week number, because week numbers repeat obviously, that you could have one single week number that goes for everything. So let's say that 2016 was 48 and 49, 50, 51, 52. It just continues on in the next year, 53, 54, 55, 56, all the way up, and then to 2018, which is 105, 106, and it will continue this way when you get 2019, 2020, and all of that. So a little bit, I think, with a little bit of modification, he should be able to get to what he wants with using that technique. So apparently he liked it. He mentioned somebody mentioned me. I believe that will work. I'll try and let you know. I was working on a similar solution by adding 53 to any week in 2019. Approach has flaws. Do have one question. Your sequential mesh worked beautifully for part one, which would be to get, or for example, 1 week of 2019 to be week number 54. However, what would you recommend for calculating current week, given that I still need to create a calculation per week relative to the current week? I'm gonna have to give that one some thought. Um, yeah, I think you got to do something along those lines. So I might need to get some more information from him. We'll come back to that one. DAX rolling max the difference. So I think I was mentioned during. Hey, they like it's back to the way I like it. That's really awesome. Um, Man, this is the way I like to see it. Not with the threads, whatever. I hate that view. All right, so I don't know why it changed back, but whatever. I'm happy with this. Hopefully it doesn't change again. So anyway, this is the one I was working on in my last live stream, where I modified his max my value and then created a max difference. And remember when I was talking about using summarize, I talked you could probably use add columns. So apparently the summarize is causing some problems. It gets exponentially slower. So then add columns, but they both took 20 seconds for 2 years of data rows. 20 seconds for 2 years of data rows. DAX rolling max of differences between value and max using add columns that says summarize took virtually the same time. Well then it must be, I guess it could be, I'll ask him, what happens if, what happens if you take the two, how's that add columns? It signed me out, so I'm gonna have to sign back in. Add columns, difference. My table, my max value, max my value, minus sum table, my value, max difference. Oh, here's an idea. Well, first of all, I better sign in. Thinking about this, I would take out my max value as I individually in the summarized table, because that is just adding additional unnecessary calculations, because difference also calculates that value independently. So try this. All right. That should, in theory, that should just about have the, it's taken 20 seconds. It should knock it down, probably down to 12 seconds or less, probably. Be my guess. Okay. That's previous week. So now that I'm logged in, is it still making it the way I liked it? Or is it gonna thread them again? Ah, it threaded them again. Okay, well, whatever. Alright, let's see. Given the data shown, what is the expected output? Also, can you post that data? Okay, that was my reply. Okay, so I paste the data with the column at the end showing the expected outcome. Survey 1, Survey 2, Survey 3, Survey 1, Survey 2, Survey 3. Okay, so then why it keeps signing me out? So could you just create a second query where you pull out all of the distinct values from ID2 and assign an index to them. Then that way you should be able to easily tie that, or easily relate that table back to this fact table, that dimension back to this fact table, and have what you want, correct? Okay. So let's see. This was the previous week thing, and okay, that was. This is what drives me nuts, is it's really difficult to figure out the real threading using this indenting, I guess. I just have to get used to it. I'll try that. It's working on a similar solution. Okay. So then, one question. Sequential metrics work beautifully for one. Let's get the example. However, what would you recommend for calculating current week, given that I still need? Okay, so I need to look up my calculation for that and reverse engineer what it is that I was doing there, and then adjust that for today, essentially. If I remember correctly, there's a column form. Okay, summarize all, my year, my start year, first year. Sum x. Okay, so my year. Let's see here. Max year weeks year. So that is getting the maximum. Okay, maximum year weeks in the year, essentially. So let's assume that this is going to be a column. That's going to be the column form of this guy. Because he seemed like he was doing it in columns before. So you'd have to grab the summarize all year weeks. Okay. This is the year column. Summarize all year weeks by year and by max week. Okay. My year is whatever year it is. And then my start is filter max weeks, year less than my year. Okay, so that's my start. So that's going to return sum x filter max weeks, year less than my year. Okay, that returns the max week from the last year. For our first year, calculate first non-blank year weeks, year one, all year weeks. All year weeks, first year equals first year. That's just the week num. Otherwise, my start plus week num. This is adding up all of the things. So I think what it should be is that you should just be able to take this I believe what you want to do for the second part would be to have this formula variation for your current week. all it should have to do is take year of today. I think. We'll give it a try. We'll highlight this piece. Alright. Let's see, it's 12:54. I wanted to try to get this wrapped up by. Did I miss anybody? Let's see, previous week, multiple group by ranking issue, dynamic list by date range. Then the crispy bacon. Nice. Crispy bacon. My son likes crispy bacon. Or very crispy bacon. Alright, oh, Ashish is working on this one, so. Dynamic list by date range. Thanks for the nice PBX file. Initially, I was running into issues with my date calculations because of the date granularity. When calculating the number of categories, it seems to work fine. Once I create a list of the categories, it doesn't work. That's AIB's solution. I don't know. Did he... Okay, it didn't really give me a lot of information to go on. But AIB's on the job, so I'm sure he'll take care of it. Therefore using a tabular cube tool, SQL Server, I can work on the data modeling and then connect it to another tool, right? Using a tabular cube to SQL Server, I can work on the data modeling and connect it to another tool. I don't know what he's asking here. This was the under the hood. It's tabular cube. Work on the data modeling and connect it to another tool, I guess. Not sure I understand what you mean, but sure. Alright, let's see here. Back to all topics. And I shut down a bunch of my stuff, that's why it's going a lot faster now. So I kind of closed down all non-essential systems while I'm live streaming here. C records is not an option when a measure is used. Chart months out of order, that should be pretty simple. Month high, I'm trying to set January to show on the right side, not working when the other months are. On the right side, date 1 to the 2019 date or month ascending order. Is there a simple setting I'm missing? Strange. Usually this is controlled by a numeric sort by column. Do you have one of those? Budget versus actual freeze data. Probably not going to be able to do that. Trace files and query editor on Salesforce objects. Positive and negative rows matching. Losing values in matrix. What else do we have here? Need help with ranking and counting non-blank rows. Unique projection calculation. Month to date and last month and date not showing correct values. Yeah, so this is he's trying to use the time intelligence, which are just, I mean, they really are a pain. Which is why I created time intelligence the hard way. Let's see if that fixes it for him. Can anyone please advise? I have two tables with one-to-many relationship. Okay. Great. I don't think he quite finished that post. Sorry, Yog, you're gonna get the generic. Please give me more info. I am trying to match previous rows with current rows. Does anyone have suggestions? First, I want need. First, I want need to find some same invoice amount and then positive invoice amount with negative invoice amount, the same amounts, and then in comments I need to put match as a comment. Um, huh. I'm not sure I mean, I get what he's saying there, but I don't know if I could get that from that sentence. Let's see here. Um, so, mean time between failure uses earlier. This is a blog article I wrote. It actually it came up in our user group. Actually, this came up at a customer's mean time between failure. It's a great example of using earlier, which is again the worst named DAX function ever. But anyway, that should be what he needs. Basically, what earlier allows you to do is compare your current row to other rows, essentially. So, it should be pretty simple to solve it if you reads through and understands that article. I have a Power BI desktop report with connection to Salesforce object that I then publish to an online workspace. In the query editor, I'm filtering out both columns and rows from the object. Both columns and rows from the object. Okay. In the trace files, one includes a SQL query that appears to have incorporated the edits I made in query editor. What is the other mashup file doing? It references the Salesforce URL and appears to be loading something like metadata. In the query editor, the entire object is accessible. How is this the case if the entire object isn't getting loaded into the workbook? When it comes to publication, this is the entire object. It's just the way it works, man. I don't know. I'll let somebody else respond to that one. That one. Oh, yeah, that one. All right, budget versus actual freeze data. Try to explain my problem. First, we have two Excel files. One, well, I can see that this is going to be a nightmare copying this data. Even that's going to paste into Excel as like one thing. All right, let's see here. One with budget ID number and actual amounts for the period, and the other file contains the budget ID number and budget amount for the year. So these are the actuals, and then these are the budgets. Okay. What we want to do is have the quarterly data up to date by a daily weekly refresh and change the current quarter file, and in the end of the quarter to freeze the data that it will not be changed. What we have tried is the following: adding a column to each file with the current quarter. To freeze the data, I use the column. For example, if Q1 is ended and I want to add Q2 data, we append the Q2 table to this data table, and the version is Q2 2019. It doesn't work when I try to filter only Q1 data. The budget is incorrect. When I try to filter Q2 data, I get the same. I'm not sure. All right, so not sure I understand what this guy's going for here, but not sure I fully understand what you are trying to do, but if I do, then perhaps something like this would work. Create a query for quarter one. Create a query for Q2. Create and append query to append Q1 and Q2. Now, go back and disable refresh for Q1 query. Now, when you add the next quarter, Q3, create a separate query for Q3, include it in the append query, and disable refresh for Q2 query. Is that what you are looking for? Not sure, but we'll find out, I guess. Oh yeah, I already replied to that one. Yep, alright. Let's see what else we have here that we can answer real quick. In total role, using year-to-date for year-over-year growth rate, organizational default theme. To use custom theme as a default theme every time a user. I don't think so. I don't believe so. I do not believe there are GPO settings available for Power BI desktop that address that. But I may be incorrect. But if I am incorrect, then somebody will reply to that, and I will get a notification that somebody replied to it, and then they will correct me, and then I will have learned something. So that's a win for Greg. All right, using year-to-date for year-over-year growth rate and total role of matrix. Create a matrix to display some quarterly data. It displays 1 year's worth of data at a time. Broken down by quarter. Includes calculation with year-over-year growth rate. When you select 2018, only displays Q1 to Q3, as Q4 data won't be on until next month. Matrix displays a total row at the bottom, including the total year-over-year growth rate for the year. However, in 2018 is selected year-over-year growth rate, and the total is a large negative number because it is comparing Q1, Q3 totals for 2018. Okay, we're going to get the total row in the matrix to base the year-over-year baseline equivalent. All right, this is going to be, this is a matrix measures issue. Yep, and then as it tells the final word. All right, well, that's all the time I have for today, at least for the time being. So I'm going to shut down the live stream, and hope everybody's having a good new year, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.